Krishna Prada Krishna Radha Prada Mayo Shivane Nidhane Nitram Radha Krishna Gatir Mahama Radha Krishna Dravya Mai Radha Krishna Radha Dravya Mayo Hari Jivane Nidhane Radha Krishna Gatir Mahama Radha Radha Sita Radha Radha Geha Sito Hari Radha Jivane Nidhane Nitram Radha Krishna Gatir Mama Radha Krishna Chitta Sita Radha Radha Chitta Sita Hari Radha Jivane Nidhane Nityam Jivane Radha Krishna Gatir Mahama Nilambara Dhara Radha Pitambara Dharo Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gatir Mama Radha Vrindavaneshwari Radha Krishna Vrindavaneshwara Krishna Jivane Nidhane Nityam Jivane कृष्णो गतिर्मम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे शील जीव गोस्वामी पाद की जय। शील प्रभुपाद की जय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यप्रभु स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this Sunday morning satsang. We are, as part of our 2 days workshop, we are discussing on Sri Harinam Chintamani, chapter 12, inattention while chanting. So yesterday we began this discussion in the evening, and how many of you were yesterday here? Raise your hands. Okay, how many of you are coming today this morning? Raise your hands. Oh, many, huh? Okay, so you might not be able to follow the flow of discussion, but let me make it clear that this is an interactive discussion, and if you have to ask questions, you will have to raise your hands, and the subject of the question should be what is the topic being discussed only. So already we have discussed a certain portion yesterday. So we will not take up those questions again now in this discussion, because today we are going to discuss 2 hours this, and in the evening from 3 to 4:30 we will conclude this discussion. So I'll just summarize what we discussed yesterday. We began with this discussion by Srila Prabhupada's quotations on what exactly constitutes an offense. Anyone who wants to chant, they can go and chant. If they want to hear the class, they should hear. You cannot do 2 things at a time. So if you want to hear the class, please sit and hear the class. If you all want to chant, then you can go out and chant. So when we are doing the actual workshop, that time we will tell you, how to implement the techniques which we are speaking here. So we spoke about what exactly constitutes an offense. And we did this exercise, if you remember. We did this exercise. And then, after Srila Prabhupada explaining what exactly constitutes an offense, we actually went into Namaprad Pramad, inattention while chanting. And this was taught to Sanatan Goswami as well as Gopal Bhatt Goswami. Inattention is also counted as a offense. And it is the main obstacle for attaining love of Godhead. It's the main obstacle. So then we yesterday did this exercise of chanting one mantra, one bead. This principle. How it is very important that we just chant one mantra in one bead. And then we saw first Prabhupada's quotation, and then to chant one mantra on one bead, you have to be in the mode of goodness. You have to be in the mode of goodness. And how difficult it is, we saw some practical exercises. We saw the ratchet and pawl mechanism, how to lock your one bead and don't jump to the next bead. And the tendency is there because of the psychological forces which are acting on the mind, because of the mode of passion. And then this pramad meaning Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains as inattention, and it is the root of all anarthas. And there are 3 types of pramad: audasinya, jad and vikshep. So, yesterday we did this exercise on how we can avoid inattention by posture. By posture. And I did not go into a lot of detail because time doesn't permit us. But it is, an art which you will have to learn of how to sit in a right posture. And I was yesterday explaining that as long as one has not mastered the asanas, one cannot go into dhyan. And these postures are dhyan postures. The four postures which we spoke: swastika, padma, sukha, and siddhasana. Of course, you can sit in vajrasana also and chant, but not for a long time. And yesterday we were speaking about the posture, how we can sit in a posture in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. A posture can speak many things, and it's a whole science in itself. Just by seeing a person's posture, you can read many, many things. And it is a Vedic science. And if somebody is putting his hands like this and sitting, that is, he's having negative thoughts or is in the mode of ignorance. So many devotees while chanting, they keep their hands like this. The hand should be, you have to expand your chest and sit, in a lotus pose, So all this, makes a lot of difference. And we spoke about how while chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the torso, the head and the neck should be in straight line, and head preferably should be a little up. And it's so difficult to do that, right? It's very difficult. Jai Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya Ki Jai. So it's difficult. So one has to practice over a period of time and attain mastery, and then it becomes easy to sit in a posture. And yesterday I mentioned briefly that we are just doing the level 1 exercise because time doesn't permit. The level 2 exercise I did not discuss yesterday, and today I saw in the morning session after yesterday's class, many devotees were very enthusiastically sitting in a proper posture and trying to chant, but many had closed their eyes. And if you close your eyes, you'll go in samadhi. Not the mystic samadhi, but the tamaguna samadhi. So we did not discuss that second level of implementation because it is not easy to implement that. So I had not discussed yesterday. But just to make the point here, Burijan Prabhu also in his Japa book brings out that if you keep your eyes open, then the interaction of the senses and sense objects is happening, right? And you are not able to focus on hearing the mantra. If you close your eyes, what happens? No, that is deep ignorance. But in the mode of passion, within the antakaran, there are the subtle impressions of the sense objects, and there are the subtle senses. So the interaction of those senses and sense objects is happening. And that's what happens in the what? It happens in the mind, but when you experience that? Yeah, when do you close your eyes? When you sleep. So when you sleep, you see dreams, right? Right? So in the dreams, what is happening? The interaction of the senses and sense objects. So in both ways, if you open your eyes, there's an external interaction of the senses and sense objects. If you close your eyes, the internal interaction of the senses and sense objects happens. So that is why the yogis, what they do? Half close. Now when I mentioned this methodology to do, everyone said it is very difficult. Because when you start, focusing on the tip of the nose, it requires a lot of concentration. It requires a lot of concentration. Because by focusing on the tip of the nose, you can stop the external interaction with the senses and the sense action. You have to withdraw yourself within. And it is an art. And here we cannot do that practice of how to do it. But the best thing is to open your eyes and look at Tulsi, Maharani and chant. That is the best method. Or you can keep the DT pictures or the Hare Krishna mantra card. Preferably a black and white card should be kept, because colors again agitate the mode of passion. The intelligence becomes activated. And you have to beat the mantra card, not below, because if you keep below, then your head goes down. So you'll have to keep in a position where your head is up. So that's again difficult, right? So then you'll have to have a stand for that, but it doesn't look good in everyone having his own stand of the mantra card. Individually at homes you can do that. I have the whole mantra card with the stand. We have designed that for our workshop. We have different mantra meditations, 11 mantra meditations cards, for this japa workshop. So you'll have to see what is practical, and it's better that you keep your eyes opened until you are so advanced that you are internally awake, fully awake. Awake means spiritually awake. Then you can close your eyes and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It is possible at that state. Otherwise, definitely you will go to samadhi. You will not be able to. It's not easy to practice. Until there are impressions in the chitta, the interaction is going to happen. So that's why it's not practical. So we'll have to implement it by doing open-eyed meditation only. So yesterday we spoke about this posture, only the level 1, and what Prabhupada has to say about it. Then one should be careful to chant the mantra very attentively until the stage of anurag or asakti. Till then one has to be very, very careful. And yesterday we discussed, at the stage of asakti, the mind doesn't go towards any other object. It directly always flows towards Krishna. So till then you have to be careful. And then Prabhupada speaking about it, we saw how with very care, carefulness, cautious. Because when you call out Krishna, Krishna is present. And then we saw Rupa Goswami's Kinto Adarat Anudhinam. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about that the sadhaka who is careless cannot study the mind. Because chitta ekadikhe, nama ekadikhe. And even if he chants 64 rounds, 1 lakh names, not even a drop of nectar of the holy name he can taste. And I know, last 2 years I've been staying in Vrindavan, I know there are many who chant 64 rounds. It's a matter of tapasya to sit and chant. And they chant early morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they finish by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But still they cannot relish the holy name. If, especially there are Vaishnav aparadh. If you think you are very austere, and doing so much tapasya early in the morning, getting up and chanting, and what are these other people, If you criticize, then you might be able to do that kind of tapasya, but still you will not relish the holy name. So that is because of criticism of Vaishnavas. On the other hand, here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking about chitta ekadikhe. Because the chitta is not fixed, it is not steady. So then we spoke about this sutra. that when you chant, chant and do nothing else. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to speak the first solution to Audasinya. The first solution. Yatna Karibar Vidhi. The rules for being careful. Did we discuss this yesterday? No. Okay. साधु संगे स्वल्पकाल छाड़िया विषय निर्जने लय नाम यही दोष क्षय. So the dosh is chitta ekadike, nama ekadike. So what is the solution? By associating with devotees, one quickly becomes free from material desires. Sadhu sange swalpakal chadiya vishaya. This is the power of sadhu sang. Once the thought of material desire is destroyed, one may then chant the holy name in a secluded place. Nirjana loy nam he dosha shay. This dosh can be destroyed. Now, I remember once we were with one sadhu going to Govardhan, and a local resident, Brajbasi also, he also was there in our rickshaw, and he was smoking bidi. And, the mind becomes more agitated because of setting yourself on fire by smoking a bidi. But just because he was there with the sadhu, he had a transformation. He threw the bidi and he said, because the residents there are very respectful to sadhus. Oh sadhu, please tell me how to also engage in bhajan. I also want to engage in bhajan. That desire developed in him just by that association of sadhu. So here one is the solution that one should associate with devotees. So that in the chitta the desires are there which take us in one direction, at least that gets stopped for some time. It's destroyed, at least for that moment. So now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a footnote for this nirjane. At first, one may act in this way for half an hour, beginning his chanting of the holy name in a secluded place in the association of devotee. For us, secluded place means association of devotees. Please remember that. Okay. Seeing the devotee's saintly nature, one gradually acts as they do. In this way, one abandons his indifference and desires to engage in devotional service. Bhajaneshu spruha. For doing bhajan, there is a spruha. The desire to do bhajan comes in that association of sadhus. Krame krame Krishna nam chitta hoya stira nirantara nama rase hoye taha adhira. Gradually, krame, the mind becomes fixed on the holy name. Chitta hoya stira Krishna name. Then one is always intoxicated by tasting the nectar of the holy name. Nirantar nama rase hoye tha adhir. So first you have to become dheer, and then you have to become adhir. Krishna is called as dheer adhir. Krishna's name is dheer adhir. He becomes adhir in front of Srimati Radharani. So like that, by chanting you will become then, you will be relishing the mellows of the holy name. Next, Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks. Tulsira sannikate Krishna lila sthane sadhu sannidhane bhasi satvata vidhane. Staying near Tulsi Devi, staying in a holy place of Lord Krishna's pastimes, associating with saintly devotees, and following the example of the great saints. So this is another method for the chitta transformations which are taking us in other direction. So chanting in front of Tulsi, chanting in the holy places whenever we get an opportunity to go to the holy places like Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, and then associating with saintly devotees and following their footsteps, satovritti. Following the example of great saints means the example of past saints wrapped in the bliss of devotional service, bhajanananda. In the beginning, one chants the holy name for half an hour. It is always better to implement in the beginning, especially when you start chanting attentive rounds, to break it in blocks of 4 rounds, which is called as a granthi. And you can okay, morning time, if you can sit in one stretch and finish your 16 rounds, nothing like it. If you can finish 12 rounds, that is 3 granthis. The next 4 rounds, then you can, devote special time for that so that you just chant those 4 rounds like that. So it's always better to do in a block of 4 rounds. If you do in a block of 4 rounds, it is called as granthi. Bidhyante hridaye granthi, chindante sarva samshaya. So we have these knots of karma tied in the heart. And one granthi is how many rounds? 4 rounds. Then one knot is cut. There are unlimited knots in the heart. So you have to cut one after another. Okay? Gradually, the chanting will increase to an hour. Then, gradually, the chanting is increased to 2 hours. What is Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the footnotes explaining? Gradually. Gradually you have to do it. Then, gradually, the chanting is increased to 1 lakh. 64 rounds. Even the 64 rounds is how much?
8 hours.
Who told you 8 hours? Who told you it is 8 hours? Around 8 hours. Why are you putting that time of 8 hours? Huh? So, here again, gradually it is mentioned, that 64 rounds. And then it is gradually increased to 3 lakhs, 192 rounds. Okay, fine, up till now. Hold on. Fine or no? So, for us, we have to work on chanting one attentive mantra, one attentive round, 4 attentive rounds, then build on another 4 attentive rounds, then build on another 4 attentive rounds, then build on 4 attentive rounds. That is 16 rounds. Now what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking later on, that is a lifetime preparation. That is a lifetime preparation. And yesterday I was mentioning that we have a mandala and these 16 layers are covering the soul. So over a period of time, one layer to break, it takes many, many years. So it is a lifetime preparation, and if we do it systematically, then naturally the taste awakens. So at the end of the life, when we are retired and we are finished with all our duties, then slowly we can increase, or it depends. Sometimes very advanced devotees have so much Nam Ras that they still chant only 16 rounds, although they have so much Nam Ras. You know why? You know why? Because of preaching for Jivadaya. They have Nam Ruchi, but to do Jivadaya. So it varies from an individual to another individual. So advanced devotees, though they have Namras, but they are experiencing the deep connection with Krishna and the reciprocation with Krishna in chanting the holy names, but yet they connect that connection with Krishna in order to, do Jivadaya. Just like Mother Yashoda was feeding milk to Krishna, but she left Krishna and then went to attend the kitchen there, the milk which was boiling, because she was concerned that devotee, he was about to commit suicide. My life is useless if it is not in the service of Krishna. So that is the compassion of these advanced devotees. So sometimes, if devotees, sadhakas are slowly practicing, Nam, and they start increasing their rounds and they see very advanced devotees, oh, he's chanting only 16 rounds, I'm chanting more rounds, and they might think that they are more advanced. That's why drushte swabhava janita vapushcha. One should not see filed like that. So the last, footnote, don't worry for now, okay? Worry for chanting one attentive mantra. Krame kale vriddhi kare, say nam smare, atishigra vishayara chand, haite tare. One gradually spends more and more time thinking of the holy name. Very soon one abandons thinking of material sense objects. So this is the procedure Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives. Now, there are 3 stages of chanting. Actually, there are no such 3 stages in one sense. Nam is Nam. What? Nam is Nam. But while taking the name, if there is inattention, then there is Nama Aparad. And while taking the name, you are not able to take the name, you are only able to take the reflection of the name. Abhas. And that too why? Because of the anarthas which are acting like the clouds. They are covering the name. And that's why you are not able to take the name, but you are taking the reflection of the name. Then it is Nama Bhas. And Nam means Nam. And Nam means Shuddha Nam. Okay? So, we have to go through this stage of Namaprad. Actually, when we all come into the Krishna conscious movement, we actually from the Namabha stage go to the Namaprad stage. And from the Namaprad stage to come back to the Namabhaya stage takes many years. Okay? If you are not chanting attentively, it takes many years. Actually, when we come in touch with the Krishna consciousness, we go from what stage? Namabhas to Namaprad stage. But in reality, we go through Ashraddha Namabhas stage to Namaprad stage. And from this Ashraddha Namabhas, within the Ashraddha Namabhas are these 4 categories. Sanketa Parihasya Stoba Helanam, which is spoken in the Bhagavatam. Did Ajamil have faith that when he was taking the name of Narayan, it is the name of Krishna? Did he have that faith? No. He was taking the name of his son. So that chanting was Ashraddha Namabhas. Please don't take any pictures of these slides. We will share it in your groups. Please hear attentively. It was Ashraddha Namabhas. And see the potency of Nam. Even without faith, if one takes the reflection of the holy name, Namabhas, Ashraddha Namabhas, it liberates him. That is the potency of the holy name. Ajamil took Ashraddha Namabhas and he was free from all sins. That is the potency of the holy name. So when we chant in our beginning of our Krishna consciousness, we experience that Ashraddha Namabhas. And we feel, we are all, we see all devotees as pure devotees. Because we are pure devotees that time. That's why we see all devotees as pure devotees. But with the association, all our anarthas come out and we start seeing faults in devotees. Then we have to attain all that sambandha jnana. And then we have to go from namaprad stage to not namabhas. This time we have to go to shraddha namabhas. And within shraddha there is chaya namabhas and pratibimba namabhas. Now no questions regarding what is chaya namabhas, pratibimba namabhas. But for now you have to understand that we go through namaprad stage to chaya namabhas and then shuddhanam. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur devotes an entire chapter for namabhas. And that will again require 3 days of discussion of what is namabhas. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that anyone who understands this namabhas tattva, he will become liberated. That is the fruit of understanding namabhas tattva. So in tattva we have to understand, and Harinam Chintamani chapter 3 speaks about namabhas tattva. Okay. But suffice to tell here that chaya namabhas, chaya means what? Shadow. And pratibimba means reflection. So if a person is standing and the sun is there, his reflection falls, right? Sorry, his shadow falls. And the shadow has a connection with the person, right? There is a connection. Whereas the sun is there and the sun's light is reflecting on a water body, right? Say a swimming pool, you have a swimming pool and the sun's rays are reflected, right? And that reflection also can reflect on the walls, right? You can see in the swimming pools. So the Mayavadis who also sometimes take name, who take the name, they chant this Pratibimba Namabhas. But the Vaishnavas who have this Sambandha Gyan, they have to take Chaya Namabhas. And for your kind information, even Pratibimba Namabhas gives liberation. When Ashraddha Namabhas can give liberation and free us from all sins, what to speak of then? Pratibimba Namabhas. Provided there are no offenses. Ajamil became liberated when he took that one name because his case is very special case. He was having no aparadh. There's no aparadh, either in this life or previous. So we should be free from all that. So Ajamil pastime has to be carefully understood, Otherwise in India, everyone has taken the holy name. Do you think everyone at the time of death will go back to Godhead? Or they will have that opportunity? If it is infected with aparadhs, then the Nam will not manifest the potency. So Ajamil case is very, very special. So we go from Namaprad to Chaya Shraddha Namabhas and then Shuddhanam. Okay? So here is a Japa Sutra. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke about one should sit in a secluded place, sit before Tulsi, sit in the association of saintly devotees and chant so that he becomes free from Vishayara Tarang, you know, so that the chitta doesn't go in one other direction. He spoke about that, right? So here is a sutra that we should have a sacred space and perform our chanting in that sacred space. Now, this sacred space is also an external space which is there, and it can be an internal space within our consciousness and within our heart. But first, we'll speak about the external sacred space. Because to internally create a sacred space where you can internally go in your japa, you can be here, but you can be somewhere else also. And there perform your chanting. Now we can't even think and imagine about it because we are battling to try to hear the name mantra. But in Raganuga Sadhana, Tishte Vraje. That is one of the angas, that he is situated in Vraj. So he might be situated physically anywhere, but in his meditation and japa, he is situated in Braj, in one of the sacred places where Krishna performs his pastimes, or which is very dear to him. So we cannot speak about and discuss about the internal sacred space, but first we need to create an external sacred space. So chant in your japa house, not in your house. Your house is the place where your life exists, the place where you are absorbed in thoughts of you, your work, your fears, your bodily pains, your to-do list. So within the house also, one should create a space, as I was mentioning yesterday, have a tulsi in that space, and we always sit and chant in that space. So we need to create this sacred space. And till today, I have not found, in many of the devotees' houses who have created some sacred space for their chanting. And only those who are serious about it will do it. One house I visited, one of the friend of mine from here only, he told me, please go and meet my father in Calcutta. So I was in Calcutta, I went to his house. His house was like a hall, and in the hall there was an altar. And when I entered there, I felt I was in Vrindavan. So there was a small mat, chatai, in the corner, and just backside this temple hall, there was a small entry where there was a kitchen for cooking for the deities. And the husband and the wife, the husband was doing deity worship for all the offerings of the day and chanting 64 rounds every day. And he used to always sleep on the ground. And the wife was serving the husband, doing the cooking for the deities. And just entering that space, I felt I was in Vrindavan. It was not that I had any purity, but the place, because he was chanting there, had that purity. So we need to create sacred space where we do our chanting. And even in our temple hall, when we sit, we have to sit in a place where, we can create our sacred space so that we can focus in our chanting. Your japa house is figuratively the place away from your house, your life. It is a place devoted entirely to japa, to going out of your world and into Krishna's world. So I was explaining yesterday that one of my friend devotee who used to chant in a particular place, in a terrace, the moment I went in that space, I felt a different vibration there. So we have to get tuned into the holy name when we are in that sacred space. So that our mind is not with my life, my thoughts, my this, my that, all that you forget in that sacred space. It is a place where you can fully honor your sacred relationship with Him while chanting. So there's a friend of mine, he's very new to Krishna consciousness. Very, very new. And he's recently married. So he told his wife that morning time, don't ever disturb me for anything except there is very, very emergency. Because until I finish my 16 rounds, I'm not going to attend anything else. So this is the kind of commitment one should have if one is serious about chanting the holy names. Right? Sacred space is both a physical space where you chant, where you look at when you chant, or an internal space when you go internally when you chant. So I said the second part I will not discuss. Anyone liberated here? Raise your hands. Anyone is liberated here? Please raise your hands. Because only for them it applies. Because Raganuga Bhakti starts from there. So this is for Raganuga sadhakas. They can be in that internal space. They can create that internal space. And they can be there while being somewhere else. We, while chanting, we are here, but we go somewhere else, where the mind takes us. That is our problem. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke about chanting in front of Tulsi. And I was very blissful this morning because today in this morning what we read from the Namamrit was exactly the quotation what Srila Prabhupada spoke about chanting in front of Tulsi, and I knew that today we will be going to discuss about it. So chanting in front of Tulsi. So let us see Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nirjanavane kutir kari tulasi sevan ratri dine 3 laksh nama sankirtan. Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in a solitary forest. There he planted a tulsi plant, and in front of the tulsi he would chant the holy name of the Lord 3 lakh times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. Now, this is the first anartha one should be very, very careful about. And Prabhupada right in his purport to 3.1 speaks about it in the Bhagavad Gita. This is not for neophytes to do nirjan bhajan. To do nirjan bhajan. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciples in Mayapur built a kutir and he was chanting 64 rounds. And Prabhupada was visiting and the Prabhupada disciples told Prabhupada, your disciple is doing that. They were appreciating. And Prabhupada laughed and said, this is all Maya. And for your kind information, yesterday we were discussing that it is recommended that we chant loudly because so many voices of the impressions in the chitta are speaking. So we have to catch the attention of the chitta to hear the naam. So that's why we should chant loudly. If you chant very, very softly in the beginning stages, you will stop chanting. Haridas Thakur is to chant 192 rounds, 164 rounds loudly, 64 rounds softly, and 64 rounds in the mind. So in the beginning stages, if sadhakas try to chant in the mind, what will happen? You will stop chanting. Why? Why? Because the impressions of the chitta become more stronger and they will pull you more towards sense objects. So it is not recommended in the beginning stages to chant softly or chant in the mind. It's not recommended. It's only for liberated souls. So this devotee, after some time, he was missing. And later on the devotees found him in Miami Beach. enjoying sense gratification. So this Nirjana Bhajan is not recommended for sadhakas, it is for siddhas. Let's see what Prabhupada has to say. From his personal example, we can understand that the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and becoming highly elevated in Krishna consciousness is very simple. Without difficulty, one can sit down anywhere, especially on the bank of Ganges, Yamuna, or other sacred river. This is recommended. Devise a sitting place or cottage. Yesterday we spoke about devising a sitting place, asana. Being situated in an asana, we should chant. Plant a tulsi tree and before the tulsi, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra undisturbed. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name on his tulsi, on his beads 3 lakh times daily. Throughout the entire day and night, he would chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He used to chant how many names? 16 names. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the holy name 3 lakh times a day. Such chanting is for a Mukta Parsha or a liberated soul. We can follow his example, however, by chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on the beads every day and offering respect to the Tulsi plant. This is not at all difficult for anyone, and the process of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with a vow before the Tulsi plant has such great spiritual potency that simply by doing this, one can become spiritually strong. Therefore, we request the members of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respects to the Tulsi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency. One should not miss this opportunity. Krishna consciousness is so simple that you will easily miss it. It's so simple. Now, my question to all of you here is, Prabhupada is saying that chanting before Tulsi plant has great spiritual potency. And again Prabhupada says this process has immense spiritual potency. Now what is that potency? Hear my question very carefully. What is that potency in chanting in front of Tulsi? What is that potency? Great spiritual potency or immense spiritual potency. Think about it for 30 seconds and raise your hands who would like to answer. Where is water? One hand has been raised. Yes, Prabhuji. What is that potency?
Potency is basically it removes our anarthas.
What removes our anarthas? Tulsi removes our anarthas or what removes our...
By chanting in front of Tulsi.
Chanting in front of Tulsi removes our anarthas. Okay.
So, whatever is offered along with Tulsi, Krishna accepts it. So, perhaps when we chant in front of Tulsi, maybe possible that.
Okay. Prabhuji's answer is that water is offered with Tulsi, Krishna accepts, so our chanting also Krishna will accept. Arpanam, you are saying. Okay. Any other thoughts? Yes, Prabhuji, Vijay, Prabhuji.
So the chitta is coming behind the sense objects.
Yeah.
We chant in front of Tulsi Marani, we move from external energy to internal energy of the Lord, spiritual potency.
Because Tulsi means Vrindavan. But you feel you are in Vrindavan when you are in front of Tulsi? Okay. Anyone else?
We get spiritual strength.
What is that spiritual strength? That's what it is mentioned, na? Immense spiritual
We are
potential.
able to say no to Maya.
We are able to say no to Maya. Okay, yes, Prabhuji.
Tulsi Maharani is a pure devotee of the Lord.
Okay,
And just as we discussed that even for momentary association, we get that desire to.
okay, this is good. So far, good, but still something more is there, that immense spiritual potency. Yes, Prabhuji, take the mic.
Harish, Prabhu, we saying in Tulsi this Seva Adhikarani Karavijitashi. So she can empower us with the service towards the Lord.
What is that service when you're sitting and chanting before Tulsi? What is the service you're asking?
Chanting is the service to Lord.
Chanting. But what is that immense spiritual potency? Anyone else? Yes, Prabhuji.
Helps us to develop Krishna Prema.
Helps us to develop Krishna Prem. That is the potency. Okay.
We can gain more energy by that energy.
You,
We can
you have to
physically go on.
you have to raise your hand so that we can see who is. Yes, Prabhuji, tell us.
Potency means energy. We can gain more energy so that we can go on spiritual activity further and further.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Take the mic. What is that immense spiritual potency?
Of the five potent forms of devotional service, one of the forms is residing in a holy place. So for us, holy place is chanting in front of Tulsi Maharani.
Okay, temple is also a holy place. It is transcendental. What is that immense spiritual potency? Anything from the Matajis? Matajis are not answering anything. Matajis always water Tulsi in front of their home. What is that immense spiritual potency? Great spiritual potency.
Prabhu, I heard it from you only. You said that when we chant near Tulsi, we can hear the Mahamantra.
Yes. What is that immense spiritual potency? By chanting in front of Tulsi, by the mercy of Tulsi Devi, we can hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is the immense spiritual potency. Difficult to figure out, right? That is the immense spiritual potency. Because if you hear, then Chaito Darpan Marjanam will happen. Now, this explanation doesn't fit into our, doesn't fit into our intelligence. So I'll give an example. I'll give an example by which you can. No, there is my flask. You can give me hot water. I'll give an example to understand this. I'll give an example so that you can make sense of what I'm speaking. A chaste wife is surrendered to her husband. Yes? Now, among the Navvida Bhakti, there are 9 limbs of devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Atmanivedanam is surrender. Now, how do you understand that the wife is surrendered to the husband? What is the symptom by which you can understand that? Raise your hands now. No, Matajis have to answer. How do you understand? Yes, Mataji.
She doesn't displease her husband and listens to what he wants and does what he wants, listens to him.
The chaste wife is very attentive to whatever the husband says. She hears that. That is the symptom. Got it? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Similarly, Tulsi Devi is a very pure surrendered devotee of Lord Sri Krishna. And by her presence, she can also help us to hear the mantra. That is the immense spiritual potency. Difficult to still figure it out. but sit before Tulsi and chant. Okay? Fine. So this is the methodology by which we can become free from Audasini. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has spoken. Any questions up till now, what we have discussed? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. 3 questions we will take up. We'll start with Venkat Govind Prabhuji. I said no questions on that topic. I spoke that, we will not take up any questions on that. But still we'll take up your question. Okay. No. If one is chanting Pratibimba Namabhas, he will not come to Shuddhanam. That's why we sadhakas have to go from Namaprat to Chaya Namabhas and then to Shuddhanam. Is it okay for now? Okay. Prashant Prabhuji, Prakrishta Rupena Shant Prashant Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. The mic.
Probably you told in the beginning stages, it's not recommended for.
It's not that I speak, but it is mentioned in the Shastras.
Yeah, so it's not recommended to chant either softly or in the mind. So one should chant loudly.
Yes.
So how in the community of devotees we are chanting together, how we can incorporate this so that others are not disturbed? So what is the correct?
Yesterday we gave this answer.
All of us are in the beginning stages.
No, that's what yesterday we discussed the answer. So we should chant loud enough so that we can be awake and attentively hear. And we should also see that, our chanting of the loud chanting of the mantra doesn't disturb others. So then we'll have to create a space where we can, some devotees chant really very loudly, At the same time, if you are also chanting loudly and others are chanting loudly, and if you are hearing that, that's also not recommended. And because others are chanting loudly, you start chanting more loudly, and then other one also starting, then there is like a competition will happen. Then instead of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra to please Radha and Krishna, you are doing some other activity. So one should know and do things what is practically required. Okay? Fine. There was one more hand raised. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
So we see the solution given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur as to chant in front of Tulsi Devi, to associate with Sadhu Sangha, and to visit the Holy Dham, and to follow the footsteps of the saints. So we have been doing this for many years, but still we see that we again fall into the loop of this indifference again and again towards the holy name, which looks like though we are taking the solution, but it's not acting as a solution, leading to some dosha in the practitioner. So how do we we do this, but still not able to get the benefit of the solution to the dosha?
So the process is simple, the application is difficult. So you have all experienced that when you hear from sadhus Krishna Katha, when sadhu is there and he speaks Krishna Katha, you experience some different altogether an experience, right? But that kind of sadhu association you don't get regularly also, yes? So it is speaking about those kind of sadhus, right? Sadhu Sanghams, there are again very different levels in that. So that kind of association, if you are always there, then you can be, always carrying that wave. But we don't get that. And nor we get the opportunity to, be in the Holy Dham. Always. Only we get sometimes yatras, retreats, or, we plan our, programs there. That time we visit. And there also hearing from the sadhus, chanting in the association devotees, we experience that. Right? So, Among them, you'll have to see what is to be practically implemented in given our situation. And we implement, and slowly, gradually, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, gradually, as we work on our chanting, we can experience that immense potential.
So how it understands is, say, when I'm so much becoming indifferent to the holy name, the solution looks a practical organization is where it's gone. So the taking the solution where to get constant association of the great saintly people or to stay in the dham, it's not possible. So somebody may go to that extreme, to get out of the indifference. I want to take the solution.
That will also not work. Because the Kanishta, if he associates with the Mahabhagavat, he will commit offenses. Only a Madhyamadikari can associate with the Mahabhagavat. And Rupa Goswami is warning the Madhyamadikari there, not the Kanishta. The beginning of devotional life, when he associates with the Mahabhagavats, he gets a mercy by which he takes up to devotional service. But a Kanishta Adhikari will see faults, and it is not good for him. And especially committing an offense to a Mahabhagavat. And we are not having adhikar to stay in Vrindavan Dham also. Because you will commit Dham Aparadh. One thought in the Dham, Radharani can throw you out from there. So instead of going and purifying in the Dham, what will happen? You will become putrefied. So that's why only once a year or twice a year you go to the Dham. Take the mercy and potency, come and take that inspiration so that you can further. So you have to work gradually on it, krame. Okay? Fine. Let's now go to the Anya Prakriya. Another method to become free from Audasini. Anya Prakriya, e rupe karila, Audasini rupe anavadana hoy na. Another method which does not lead to indifference. So let us see what is that another method. Atva nirjane basi smari sadhu riti indriya pidhana kare name kare mati. Or living in a secluded place, remembering the holy name, acting in a saintly way, and controlling the senses, one may fix his mind on the holy name. Controlling the senses may mean living as an ascetic in a secluded cottage, or it may even mean covering the eyes, ears, and nose with a cloth. So, how many of you have visited the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Godrumdeep? Raise your hands. So there is a room of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and next room is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And just while you are climbing the steps, there is a small room, which is like a small, narrow room, which is rectangle. That is the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to chant the holy names, and it has very thick walls. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to cover himself fully, cover with the chadar fully, so the eyes don't see any objects. Plug the ears so that we don't hear any other sound. Plugging the nose is difficult. But you can plug the nose. Once I and my friend devotee, we are just going for a meeting, and in the Govindas, the samosas were being fried. And the smell of samosas, right? So moment the smell, and the smell of the samosas, flies very quickly through air, and it enters the nostrils, and the chitta here is the contaminated consciousness. It immediately hits it and then agitates us. And this devotee just turned, took a spin, 300 degree spin. And he told another devotee, go and get me the samosas. So, even the smell can have that kind of an impact on the chitta. So you should also be in a place where, you especially cooked items where they are there. So if you cover yourself completely with the shawl, you will go to sleep. It's not possible. I know only one devotee, yesterday also, day before, very closely, he's very close friend of Deenbandhu Prabhuji, Padmalochan Prabhu, who left this world. He used to, sit and chant. Every day early morning in Mayapur, 3 o'clock, he used to sit and chant in front of Prabhupada, completely covering himself and be absorbed in the chanting. Very, very elevated devotee, Padmalochan Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple. He also has written books, as Deenbandhu Prabhu has written on Madhurya Dham, the whole Parikrama tour he takes on Govardhan. Very graphic, it's like a movie you can go through. One of the most beautiful books on Govardhan Parikrama. So very rarely anyone can do that. But as far as possible, one should, do these things. That is how, Satvare namite nishta ruchi krame hoy, audasinya dosha tara krame hoy shaya. Quickly one attains first faith and then gradually attraction to the holy name. Krame ruchi hoy. Krame the ruchi happens. It's not that, one shot you jump from one point to another point. No, it happens very, very gradually. It is a very gradual process which happens. And then gradually what happens? Audasina Shaya. The more the ruchi happens, the audasinya comes down. So Prabhupada was once on a flight with his disciples. And his disciples, what kind of schedule they have. There were 2-3 disciples with his secretary and all others, and they were all chanting, and they were going to sleep while chanting. And Prabhupada said, why are you sleeping? Chant. Prabhupada, we are tired. See these materialists, how they are awake. They were all watching some movie, something which was played. Why are you not awake while chanting? Prabhupada, we had so much services, we are tired and we are feeling sleepy. No, that is not the reason. The real reason is you don't have taste, ruchi. At the stage of ruchi, if one is exhausted from doing all Krishna conscious activities throughout the day, if one is at the stage of ruchi, he is about to go to bed now, 10 o'clock night. He picks up his beads, and starts chanting. All the exhaustion, all the sleep will go away. If he has ruchi, that is the stage of ruchi. So you can imagine what is the stage of ruchi. Okay? So this is the anya prakriya. Okay. Now the second pramad. Jada janita avadhana lakshan, the symptoms of inattention arising from laziness. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about this. Jada ei avadhana alase ramane tahe ruchi nahi hoy shri nama grahane. When the mind becomes lazy, one may be inattentive because of inertia. Because of that, one will not be attracted while chanting the holy name. So I was yesterday explaining, I did not go into the whole analysis of Audasin and Jad, which we do, I told each of the Pramad we discuss for an entire day. So we cannot go into it. So sometimes, if a devotee comes and tells you, Prabhuji, you have to do this service. Oh, now, when you say like that, that is because of alas, inertia. But a devotee who is what? Enthusiastic. Okay, I'll come and do that service, he'll tell. Because he's free from jad. Right? So the medicine for jad is what? Utsaha. Utsaha, if you want to give a synonym in English, is love. Is what? Love. Enthusiasm means love. And when Prabhupada was there on this planet, anything Prabhupada wanted to execute, and he tells his disciples, because they had love for Prabhupada, they were ready to do anything for Prabhupada's service. Because they had love. So that love, when we have, that is, you are able to do actions out of love. And that shows that you have enthusiasm. This is real enthusiasm. There is something called as utsamai, false enthusiasm, which is the beginning stages of our spiritual life. Right? That false enthusiasm, we have that. But real utsaha is when you have real love and you are ready to do anything for the object of your love, that is Krishna. But because of alas or jad, that's why there is inattention. And there is no attraction. Smriti kale punashigra virama prayasa eidosha nama rasa na hoya prakasha. At the time of remembering the holy name, one may try to finish quickly. Because of this fault, the nectar of the holy name will not be manifest. So trying to move your rounds very quickly you want to do. Right? Anyakara vritha kala na hoye vyapana sadhu ghana iha chinte smare anukshana nama smare rasa maje anya nahi chai sei rupa sadhu sanga ei doshayai. One who does not waste time in useless activities, anya karya vrita kala, who associates with saintly devotees, sadhu gana iha chinte, and moment after moment remembers the holy name, will find himself plunged in the nectar as he remembers the holy name. He will not desire anything else. In this way, in the association of devotees, this fault will go away. So one of the lakshanas of one who is in bhava bhakti is avyarta kalatvam. Not even a moment he will waste. Anything not related to Krishna. Avyarta kalatvam. So associating with such sadhus, seeing their conduct, and always, being in this kind of saintly association, seeing that how they are relishing Nam Ras, slowly in that association, this fault will go away. But it is very rare to find such a sadhu sangha. A saintly devotee does not waste time. This one should follow. Anya veshya seirup sadhu sangha kare tad anukarane chitta jhada parihare. If one seeks out saintly devotees and follows them, then he will defeat the fault of inertia in the heart. A Vishuddha sadhu bhakta, pure devotee sadhu, is rare. Searching from place to place, one will eventually be able to associate with such a pure devotee. Our problem is we are not searching only. Prabhupada our founder Acharya is not a Uttamadhikari nor a Mahabhagavat. He is a Nitya Siddha, Shakti-Avesh avatar, descending from transcendental level of consciousness within this world. And he is not a sadhaka who is evolving his consciousness to Krishna consciousness. So Jiva Goswami explains that there are three kinds of sadhus. Nitya Siddha, Murchita Kashaya, Amurchita Kashaya. Which are the three kinds of sadhus? Nitya Siddha, Murchita Kashaya and Amurchita Kashaya. And the Nitya Siddha example he gives Narad Muni. And Murchita Kashaya. Murchita means, everyone knows the term Murchita. What? Fainted. Murchita. Kashaya means contamination. In the chitta there is, the contamination is sleeping. It is not going to manifest. He gives the example of Sukadev Goswami. And Amurchita Kashaya, he gives the example of Narad Muni in his previous life, in his previous birth. He was the son of a maid servant. And he had the association of the Bhakti Vedantas. And very quickly, just by following their example in the forest, as he was instructed, when he was chanting the holy name, the Lord appeared in the heart. He experienced the Ashta Sattvic Vikars. He saw the Lord in the heart. And suddenly the Lord disappeared. Why did the Lord disappear? Because there was still some contamination. Now Narad Muni as a child was very perturbed. Narad Muni, in the previous birth. And he was trying to again fix his mind and concentration to see the Lord again. But there Prabhupada in the purport mentions that one cannot by a mechanical process do so. But seeing, the state of Narad Muni, the Lord felt compassion. This time the Lord spoke in a voice. He could not see the Lord, but he spoke. And because you are a Kuyoginam, you will not see me again in this life, he said. But that one darshan, what he had, was sufficient because now he had developed that aturta in him. That was sufficient for him to take him to perfection. That is the Lord's mercy. So the Amurchita Kashaya example is of Narad Muni. So if you associate with these types of sadhus, then very quickly you will become free from Audasinya. Now tell me whether we can have the association of such kind of a sadhus. The examples are Narad Muni, Sukdev Goswami, Narad Muni in his previous life. And Nitya Siddha, as I mentioned, is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One darshan of theirs is sufficient for us to attain perfection. That kind of sadhu association is required. After speaking this kind of association, this is the sadhus, he says. Then he comes to the different categories of sadhus, those who have attained prema bhakti, bhava bhakti, all that again. So we have to find out a sadhu and seek his association. Avyarta kalatva dharma sadhura charitra dekila tahate ruchi hobe nishchita. Saintly devotees naturally do not like to waste time in useless things. Observing their actions, the follower will certainly become attracted to the holy name. Mane hobe aha kabe ihara saman smariva gaiba nam hoya bhagyavan. In his heart, in this way, his heart will become like theirs. He will become like the saintly devotees. He will always remember and chant the holy name. He will become fortunate. Mane hobe aha kabe ihar saman. Seeing this sadhu, he develops a desire. When will I become like him? And that desire also is not his pure desire. Because of that association of that sadhu, he develops this spruha, desire. And then slowly, smariya gaiva naam. He can chant and remember the holy name and he'll become fortunate. Seita utsa asi alise ramane jada dhura kare Krishna namera smarane. Throwing inertia and laziness of heart far away, he will be eager to remember Lord Krishna's holy name. So I was mentioning the antidote for Jad is Utsaha. So we in our 4-day workshop present the Utsaha technique of chanting so that we become free from Pramad. It's a very long technique and slowly we have discussed since yesterday. One of the Utsaha technique is what? Chant one mantra in one bead attentively. So like that go to 1 round, then 4 rounds. But the whole procedure is there, which is a long procedure which we have to discuss for 1 or 2 hours. But we have been presenting since yesterday. Slowly, in the mode of goodness, activities seem like poisonous in the beginning, but it is nectar at the end. So it is tapasya in the mode of goodness, but over a period of time you will start relishing the nectar. मने होबे आज लक्ष्य नाम न ये करीबा क्रमे क्रमे 3 लक्ष्य नाम ये स्मरिबा. In his heart he should decide to chant 1 lakh of holy names. Then gradually he can chant 3 lakhs of holy names. महाग्रह हवे चित्त नामेर संख्याया अचिरेया बे जड़ साधुर कृपाया. In his heart he becomes determined to chant. He chants a fixed number of holy names. By the saintly devotee's mercy, his inertia soon goes away. So the sankalpa to chant, Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam drida vrata. So the drida vrata chanting determination, although we take the sankalpa, we cannot maintain the sankalpa. Why? Because the mind has so much impressions of sense objects. So this is bhajan kriya, where the anarthas are still not uprooted. Esham to antagatam papam. The papa utta aparad and the bhakti utta anartha. Aparad utta anartha, punya utta anartha, and papa utta anartha. So both the pap and punya utta anartha are not yet destroyed. That's why dushkututta and sukrututta, papa and punya, dushkututta and sukrututta. Anarthas are not destroyed. That's why we are not able to maintain the sankalpa to chant determinedly. So we have to take sankalpa based on our adhikar. So externally we need that sadhu's association to maintain our sankalpa. And internally, to maintain that sankalpa of the mind, we have to sharpen the intelligence by studying Shastra. So like that, we can maintain the sankalpa. And the sankalpa has to gradually go up. And this is a long process, how we can maintain that sankalpa and keep on growing like that. And that is what is here being indicated. Because those who are under the shelter of the internal energy, what is their symptom? Krishna tells in the Gita? Daivi. And the next verse? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavrata namasyante tu namam bhaktya nitya yukta upasa. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Yata means they endeavor. Drida, the determination is very strong. Because determination is the function of the intelligence. And as long as the intelligence is not completely purified, then with that spiritual intelligence, the soul ultimately, no, uh, the mind and the senses are controlled. But when the intelligence is corrupt, the mind dictates the intelligence. Mind is subservient to the intelligence is subservient to the mind, and that's why we are battling. So until anarth nivritti crosses that stage, our determination is not strong. But having this association of sadhus, we can develop that slowly, that determination. And we have to take determination as per our adhikar. Okay, so this is regarding Jad and the solution for that. Any questions on this? I have no idea. Okay. One. You really have a question? You have a question? Okay, 3 questions. Okay, you can give the mic there. We'll take those 2 questions first.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, isn't Sukadeva Goswami the Nitya Siddha? Sukadeva Goswami is a Nitya Siddha.
Jiva Goswami gives that example of Murchit Kashaya as Sukadeva Goswami. It's a pastime in this world. He was a liberated soul from birth. So, Jiva Goswami gives the example of Sukadeva Goswami as Murchit Kashaya, an example of Murchit Kashaya. Whereas Amurchit Kashaya, he gives example of Narad Muni in his previous life.
Roger was telling about increasing our determination according to our adhikar.
Yes.
Can you give an example and how we can follow in our lives?
Yes, like when we begin chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, usually we chant maybe at the beginning, when we come in touch, we hear our Bhagavad Gita course, 7-day course, and we might start with 4 rounds, right? And then slowly as we start practicing, and it should happen a little naturally. It's not that, there is a system that, you have studied these books, now you are. So the minimum is to come to the point of 16, right? So that is the standard. But even on that 16 now, we are giving a reverse process for devotees who are many years chanting. What is the reverse process we are giving? 1 attentive mantra, 1 attentive round, then 4 attentive, 8 attentive, 12 attentive rounds, 16 attentive rounds. And Prabhupada also speaks about it. He speaks about 16 good rounds. That means 16 attentive rounds. And then you can think about gradually going up. To come to that point of 16 attentive rounds, it takes many years. So we have to work on that. Although we, with our, slowly taking up to Krishna consciousness, we come to the point of 16 rounds. But then we will have to start working on 16 attentive rounds. Okay? So the, determination, is at different levels to come to that point of 16 rounds. And then, what? Determination to hear one mantra. Right? Then as you, get purified, the determination automatically comes. There are many devotees I know, because they personally speak to me, who are many years connected, but they are not able to chant their 16 rounds. Forget of 16 attentive rounds. They are not able to maintain because of so many other factors. And I also know many devotees who, after the 16 rounds, they have increased their rounds. But from that increase, they have again come back. And the reason Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains. Because if you are not chanting attentive rounds and you keep on building, it is not going to much help. So we have to work on that also. Okay?
Prabhuji, how are we sure that we are, our adhikar is increasing? And,
That one has to carefully, evaluate based on his discussion with his Siksha Guru, Diksha Gurus or his spiritual mentors who are really experienced. They can, tell. There are symptoms for it. Every level there are symptoms. And based on the symptoms you can understand. Everything has lakshanas. So based on the lakshanas you will be able to understand. Okay? Fine. This is the last part of the pramad. Vikshepa janita anavadhana lakshanan. Understanding the characteristics of distraction. Now, in fact, we present many concepts as we discuss these verses. So, few of the concepts I am presenting. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the mind is compared to a lake. The mind is compared to a lake. And when the lake is filled with lot of, dirty things on the top, right? A lot of, tree leaves, lot of dirt. Externally it is floating. Now you cannot see what? The bottom of the lake. Right? In the bottom of the lake, there are stones and, fishes. You cannot see anything much, right? Anyone has visited in Dwarka, Gomati? The Gomati river, you can see, right? You can see the bottom. So that's a pure lake. The lake is very pure. That's why. So, when the lake is covered, then you cannot see anything inside, right? Now, because there are waves in the lake is a little cleared, and because of the waves, you might be able to see something inside, right? But still, you cannot see clearly because of the waves. And then when the waves are also still, then you can see inside the lake. So in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, this is the comparison which is done. The lake is what? Our mind. And inside the lake is what you see is the self, the soul. Right? So he speaks about the 5 states of the mind. Mood, deluded as in sleep, laziness or dullness. This is the mode of ignorance. It's like that covered lake. You can't see anything. You don't know what is right, what is wrong. This is the state of Muda. Shipta, agitated as in stress or mania. And Vikshipta, distracted as in a lecture in a noisy environment. So these both are to do with the mode of passion. Shipta and Vikshipta. There is sometimes, sometimes some people get into hyperactivity. You know that. Now, we don't have here this, but the Muda, graph is like, it goes like this and then slowly like this, slow activity because of inertia. Whereas for the mode of passion, the graph goes up, straight like this, up, down like this. He goes through emotions. Suddenly he is very happy, hearing a good news, suddenly goes into depression also. Extreme states, up and down. In the Vikshipta, or the Shipta, actually Shipta, the hyperactivity is, not only up and down, but the frequency is more rapid. That is hyperactivity. Whereas the mode of goodness, it's a smooth graph going up, and it remains in the center, not too much getting, sukeshu vigata spruha, dukeshu vignamana, sukeshu vigata spruha. So he doesn't go through much of these. He's samatvam. He has, yogastu kuru karmani sangam tektva dhananjaya siddha asiddha samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. That is called as yoga, Krishna is saying. So that is like the mode of goodness. It's like almost straight going. The graph is going like that. So one can understand also that, seeing a person, graph he is going through. And there are other states where the graph, person graphs goes down like that into depression and all this, So one has to come to the mode of goodness, ekagra, concentrated, as in a serious student revising an hour before the exam. So one, if he wants to chant the holy name with attention, it is only possible when he is in ekagra. And even with concentration, if you are chanting, still you will not be able to experience the effects of Nam. You will be only able to experience what? Nama Bhas. Now just imagine then, if the modes of passion and ignorance are there in the chitta, we are battling, so what stage of our chanting that is in? Right? But at least one should come to the point of what? Ekagra. And then there is the Nirodha, controlled as a devotee absorbed in Samadhi, trance of love of God. So, yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Yatra chaiva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. So, the chitta has completely nirodh, complete crystal clear. There is no one dirt and contamination on the top of the lake. And the lake is completely still. And the lake is now compared to the what? The mind. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. By yoga sevaya it has happened. Yatra chaiv atmana atmanam. So atmana atmanam, Prabhupada translates as with a purified mind. He can see the self. He can see the self. Pashyan atmani tushyati. Then he is what? Satisfied. So distraction is basically because of Shipta and Vikshipta. So both the Audasin and Jad is basically because of mood state. Okay. Vikshepa haite ei pramada uday bahuyatna se aparada hoya shaya. Inattention also comes from distraction. Now, we got distracted. So, a person who has, Prabhuji is asking what are the symptoms. A person who has attained the stage of Nishtha, there are 5 symptoms. Laya, what? Kashaya, Rasaswad, then I also don't remember. Laya, Vikshepa is also there. Laya, Vikshepa, Kashaya, Rasaswad, and one more. No. I don't remember. So Laya means what? Laya means, when a person who is at the stage of Nishtha, he doesn't go to sleep. So going to sleep, more possible likelihood is in chanting. Less likelihood in hearing. And less likelihood in a kirtan. Nobody, while jumping and dancing can go to sleep. Right? Right? So absolutely there is no laya for a person who is in the stage of Nishta. And Vikshep means there, it has a positive connotation. Vikshep means even though he is hearing the class, because of his attraction for Krishna Katha, even though there is some distraction, still his consciousness doesn't go towards that distraction. That is Vikshep. And Rasaswad means that there are no, Kashaya means there is no contamination in the form of qualities like anger or lust in him. And Rasaswad means there is no, he doesn't take mundane pleasure in sense objects. And another one I am not able to remember. So these are the symptoms. So Vikshepa, we can now understand. Vikshepa means, we get distracted, right? We are doing something with concentration and we get distracted. That is Vikshepa. Now what are the distractions? Kanaka Kamini Ara, Jaya Parajay, Pratishta Asha Shatya, Vritti Tahara Nilay. So you can get distracted for gold, distracted with women, Kamini, victory or defeat of others, fame and tendency to cheat others are all the home where this offense resides. You attain victory, you become joyful. You attain defeat, you become depressed. That means Vikshep is there. And then Puja Labh Pratishta. Then wealth, if wealth starts coming to a sadhaka, he'll start getting distracted. Followers, especially followers. Religion is the what? Opium of the masses. What kind of intoxication you get, you can't even fathom. If somebody starts following you. Just, I tell, Prabhu, come here. Just come here. No, sit. And he comes running, that mystic potency by that mudra, come here, and he comes running. The kind of intoxication you get, is unimaginable. So all these are distractions. And there's a whole procedure how to become free from all these anarthas, which Raghunath Das Goswami speaks about. These things are the home where inattention resides. Ei sab akrishta hriday hoila uday, namite anavadhana swabhavata hai. When the attraction of all these arises in the heart, one is naturally inattentive to the holy name. He is floating in the Taranga Rangini. He is floating in the waves of Puja, Labh and Pratishta. He is not able to dive deep inside into the holy name. These are all distractions. With the practice of pure devotion, bhakti is naturally attractive. And with that practice of bhakti, because the devotee carries bhakti in his heart, naturally others are also attracted. So he naturally gets what? Respect, puja, labh, and then fame. And being carried away by these distractions, he is not able to chant the holy name. So the bhakti utta anarthas these are. Bhakti utta anarthas. And Madhuri Kadamni, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur speaks about this. So these also form distractions. So these are all, at a subtle level. For us, gross distractions are many. We have to become free from that. Attraction means being drawn towards. Okay, this is regarding Vikshep. Now he is going to give the method of abandoning distraction. Vikshep tyagera upay. Krame krame ei sab chinta parihare. Yati be saubhyagavan Vaishnavachare. One must make a constant effort to try and drive such attractions away from the mind by diligently following the way of Vaishnav culture, Vaishnavachar. Gradually, one should strive to remove these distractions, distracting thoughts. This will bring back his good fortune. Strive means to make an effort. One should make an effort. I'll just give an example of Pratishta Asha. How we should strive for. Now, this I cannot describe in detail the incident, but I'll just briefly tell you that I had to book a ticket for a very famous sannyasi from a particular point to go to Delhi. Actually, it was for Mathura. So I said, okay, I'll do the ticket from this boarding point to Mathura. He said, no. Don't book it from this boarding point. I'll think and tell, he said. And for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, I'm eager to book the ticket, but hold on. And I'm wondering why, what is the reason? And then he told, maybe book it from another station, previous station. I will go from there and board the train. And I was wondering, what is the reason why? And later on, I came to know that because he was going to leave, many devotees were coming to see him there at the railway station, and he wanted to avoid that. So that is the reason. So here the point is, one should make a constant effort in that direction. Constant effort has to be done. Pratamete haridin bhoga chinta tyaji sadhu sangha ratra dine harinam bhaji. Now the solution is there. On the days sacred to Lord Krishna, renouncing even the thought of food, one must worship the holy name in the association of saintly devotees day and night. Even the thought of food should not come. Then you can become free from distraction. So once I told some devotees, let's go to Godrum Dweep. And 3 days we will chant the holy name and no arrangement of prasads. No breakfast, no lunch, no dinner. No arrangement absolutely. And everyone promised they will come. None of them turned up. None of them turned up. No arrangement of breakfast, lunch and dinner. And if you chant attentively, Lord will arrange your breakfast, lunch and dinner. But we don't have that kind of faith. That's our problem. So even the thought of food should not come. And if you chant like that, even if you do this exercise for a day, you will experience that it works. Okay? The days sacred to Lord Krishna are Ekadasi, Janmashtami and other like days. You know this famous pastime which happened in New Vrindavan? On the Janmashtami day? Yes? On the Janmashtami day, because it was fasting till midnight 12. So, Prabhupada with all his sannyasis and all his senior devotees was sitting and hearing what? Krishna book. And it went on. One chapter of another chapter. The devotee who was reciting was feeling tired. The sannyasis were also feeling tired. After the chapter was over, Already it was 12 past. And then everyone said, Jibol. Because now it is time for take prasadam. They thought Prabhupada will leave us, but Prabhupada said, next chapter. Everyone went down. But they had to follow Prabhupada's order. So they went to the next chapter. After this chapter was over, Prabhupada said what? Next chapter. Again they went down, but they continued. So renouncing even the thought of food, it's not easy. You know. So then you can become free from distraction. Hari Kshetra Haridas Hari Shastra Loy Utsava Majibe Sukha Parama Nirbhay. One should stay in a place sacred to Lord Krishna, with associates with Lord Krishna's servants and read Lord Krishna's scriptures. One should participate in the festivals and holy days without anxiety and hesitation. Places sacred to Lord Krishna are places like Sri Navdeep, Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri and other like holy places. Lord Krishna's servants are the pure Vaishnavas who follow Srila Rupa Goswami. Lord Krishna's scriptures are Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and all books that follow the true Vaishnava philosophy. Krame Bhakti Kalaman Karibe Vardhan Hari Katha Mahotsav Majiya Man. Gradually the mind becomes more and more wrapped in devotional service. When there is talk about Lord Krishna, the mind dives into a festival of bliss. You know that famous pastime of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj? The devotees Vaishnavas came and told, tomorrow is the appearance day of Srila Rupa Goswami or some Acharya. So we want to do a festival. Jagannath Das Baba said, yes, we will do a festival. And the festival is what? Whole day we'll sit and chant. None of them turned away. They meant festival means we will do lot of activity of cooking, offering the bhoga and then honoring the prasad. But then Jagannath Babaji said, no, we'll whole day sit and chant. That is our festival, Mahotsav. So like that, this is the solution to become free from distraction. The method of abandoning distraction. This is the second part now. Shreshta rasa krame chitta hoibe udhay jadera nikrishta rasa chadiba nischay. Gradually the sweetest nectar rises in the heart, then one certainly renounces the inferior taste of material things. Mahajana mukha hari sangita shavane mugdha habe mana karna rasa asvadane. Hearing the topics of Lord Krishna from a saintly devotee's mouth, one becomes intoxicated, tasting sweet nectar with his ears and heart. So this stage, you can at this stage become free from distraction. I don't know, yesterday we discussed, or in the last, no, I discussed this in the other South India temple. I was speaking about what is, the taste for Harikatha. I was speaking about the saint Narsi Mehta. He was a Grahastha engaged in Nirjan Bhajan, Ananya Bhakti. And then once his wife came and disturbed him in his bhajan. He said, what are you doing? The daughter is grown up and the neighbors are speaking that they have still not got her married. Do something. He said, it's not my daughter, it is Krishna's daughter. Krishna has to take care of it. Don't disturb my bhajan. And then he cried out, Krishna, this is a distraction in your bhajan. So after 4 days, a family came to see the daughter. And they fixed the marriage. And the Muhurta, they said it is only after next year or after next 4 days. Said they decided that we'll have the marriage after 4 days. So the wife was very happy. And the husband said, see, Krishna's arrangement. She said, what Krishna's arrangement? Who will conduct now the marriage? How will you give the dowry? How will you feed the guest? How will you give gifts? Where is the money? Narasimha Mehta had no money. He said, Krishna will arrange. What your Krishna will arrange? When I got married, my mother gave me a lot of gold. Now I had kept it. Now take this gold, give it to merchant and get the money for the marriage. So Narasimha Mehta took this bag full of gold and he was going to the merchant. While going on the road, suddenly he heard some Bhagavad Katha was going on. So his mind naturally got attracted. And he went and sat in the Bhagavad Katha. And the Katha is going on and he's sitting and hearing the Katha. And while honoring Prasad, he said, when is the next Katha? What is the next schedule of the Katha? And the person said, the 7 days of Katha are over. What? 7 days is over? My goodness, after 4 days was my daughter's marriage. Then he remembered. He forgot also why he had gone to keep the gold. He said, oh Krishna, why did you do this? Now my wife is going to take me on task. And he was really, thinking in his heart, now what is going to happen? He was very fearful. Slowly he was coming back home. And all the neighbors said, wow, Narasimha Mehta, what a nice marriage you performed. And he is wonderstruck. I performed the marriage? I was there in the Katha. And then his wife welcomed him, very happily fed him. And he was surprised, what happened? Then the neighbors told, nice gifts you gave us, nice prasadam you fed. I was there in the Katha. So Krishna took the form of Narasimha Mehta and performed all his duties. So, to become intoxicated with Harikatha and forget, time, at least for little time, we should start doing that. Little time, slowly, and not to get distracted. And today the biggest distraction is what? Mobile phone. So we have to be very careful. This is one, I recently, the kind of things which are happening in the world you should know. I recently read an article, a newly married wedded wife, she was all the time with the mobile and not cooking also. And when the husband told, at least cook, she said, I'm busy watching. So then he had to tell the father-in-law and the mother-in-law. And when the complaint went, she became so upset that she called the brother, who was a police officer, filed a police complaint, and the husband was behind the bars, and she divorced. Because of what? Too much absorption in mobile. Just a recently married girl. So these are happening with mobile. So much attachment to mobile. In China, people sell their organs to buy devices. Do you know that? They sell their own organs. So much attraction is for the devices. Recently in Taiwan, one person was so much hooked to the internet that for 3 days he did not drink water, he did not take food, he was so much absorbed his consciousness in that. And after 3 days he collapsed, he was in the ICU. But somehow he survived. If we could have that kind of absorption in Krishna. It is easy to have absorption in matter. Yes? It's very easy to have, because our consciousness naturally tends to flow towards matter. Nikrishta Vishaya Spruha Hobe Vigata Namaghane Chittasthira Hobe Avarita. When the hankering for material sense pleasures and pleasures that are very inferior goes away, the heart becomes always fixed in chanting the holy name. Ataiva Bahuyatna Ei Pramatyaje Stirachitta Namarasa Chiradinamaje. With a great struggle, in this way one becomes free from inattention. With a steady mind, one can then always plunged in the nectar of the holy name. So Bahuyatna, with lot of endeavor, one should work on this distraction. I've been 2 years in Vrindavan, and I made a policy that, in the morning, I don't carry my mobile when I'm chanting. I don't carry my mobile most of the time. So one day morning in the Tulsi garden, I was sitting and chanting, and suddenly I remembered that I had ordered a parcel from Amazon. So the person will call, otherwise he'll not deliver the parcel. So I went back to the ashram, got my mobile and kept it. And I was chanting. And while chanting, I was not able to focus on my chanting. I could understand what kind of a distraction. Although it was not ringing, but still because of its presence, that is the kind of distraction it is. So one has to be, carefully, one has to work on himself. For Haridas Thakur, you know, for Haridas Thakur, the test was Sakshat Maya Devi came and tried to distract him from the holy name. And the whole description is very graphically given. When she was coming, what was the sound of her ankle bells, and her eyebrows were colored with 13 different colors just to attract the conditioned souls. Women and their eyebrows, they do that makeup of different applying colors. So 13 different colors. All this, and he was tuned to the holy name. He was in a different channel, the Hare Krishna channel. And Maya was, with her full energy, full-fledged potency, was trying to distract him. And Haridas Thakur was not distracted. That same personified full potency of Maya is now always accompanying us in the form of mobile phone. That is the potency, please remember. So work on it individually. Otherwise, there's no chance. There's no chance that you can come out of distraction. Okay, any questions up till now? Any questions? Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji, start. Saket.
Prabhuji, you have it is recommended to all of us to chant in association, but many of us, they don't stay in the days ashram or so. We stay with our parents in our homes. So there, what we do is early in the morning we join Zoom for chanting japa with devotee. Is that recommended? Because again, that for Zoom we need an electronic device, and without Zoom, what may happen is we are not having association. We just mute everybody. It's muted. It's not that we are hearing the Mother Holy Name, but just to feel the presence of devotees, we join. So is that recommended or not really?
Now, if I give my personal opinion, then it is going to be a big source of discussion in different forums. So I'll tell you the principle and what practically you can do. Now, I have met those who study the yogic science, who do their masters and post graduation and PhD in yogic sciences, and they study all these waves in the mind. They study what is yoga nidra, the whole science. So one of the teachers told me that at night time, if you see a mobile, a color image, and you go to sleep, now that image what you have seen is being processed in your brain for the next 2 hours. The mind is born out of the mode of goodness, and intelligence is passion, right? So the intelligence is, means analyzing, right? So it goes on for the next 2 hours. So although you go to sleep, but still you cannot get deep sleep. So your sleep gets affected. That one image can have this impact. And there is a Shastri quotation for this. Do you know the Shastri quotation for this? The Shastri quotation for this is the pastime when Vyasdev was dictating to Jamini Rishi, the Shastras. And it told that famous shloka, which is that one should not sit even matravat, na vivikt asan, balwan indri gyan, kya vidwan api karishati. Even the learned, should not sit with one's own mother or one's own daughter. Because such strong are the senses that it can, even agitate a what? What to speak of a person who is not controlled, even the Vidwan. So when Jamini Rishi heard this, I don't trust this. How is it possible, even for a Vidwan? Vyasdev smiled. And that day, night, Jamini Rishi went to his kutir. He had his kutir. And suddenly, it started thundering. It started raining. And Vyasdev was lying, Jamini Rishi was taking rest, he was sleeping, but because of the thunder and the lightning, he little woke up. And then he heard a sound, voice of a female. Give me shelter, give me shelter. That sweet voice entered his ears. He opened the door and it was dark. And he heard that, she was now trying to protect herself from the rain and she was near the cottage. And the cottage has always these extensions. So they were taking shelter. So she said, Rishivar, I'm drenched in rain and it is dark. Please give me some shelter. Now, Jamini Rishi only did not see this woman. He only heard the voice. So Jamini Rishi said, there is another kutir. You go and take rest there. And lock yourself from inside. And even if I tell you to open, don't open. So while instructing, there was a lightning. And that moment of lightning flash, he was able to see the woman. He just saw. How much? For a moment. For a moment he saw. And this woman went and took rest. Jamini Rishi went to sleep. And when he closed his eyes, that impression which was there in the chitta manifested in his mind. And he saw that image. He got agitated and went to the cottage of the other cottage and started knocking the door. The woman said, Munivar, you only told me not to open even if I knock. But now I am ordering open, he said. Then she held the door tightly. Jamini Rishi was banging it. Ultimately, he forcibly knocked the door and entered. And suddenly this woman turned into Vyasdev. So this is the Shastri quotation that even a moment flash of an image can create an impression. So similarly, I had no idea that it is time up. So we'll wind up now. Similarly, the image, what you see in the mobile, can create these impressions and it affects whole thought process. So if you have to see, then don't directly see the mobile. Keep it in the side, keep the pictures in the front and observe that. For others' observation, you need not observe because the image are always continuously changing, although it is a plain pixel, image which is there, but the images are changing, right? And somebody I saw that in the morning, instead of the mantra card, they keep the mobile as a mantra card. Not at all recommended. It's not recommended. You keep the mantra card, especially a black and white, not even a colored one. So that is the impact it can have. So if you want to do that, but at a higher level, you can keep the picture of your sadhus, keep the picture of the deities and chant for them. That also you can do.
Thank you.
Okay. So we end here. Time is up for the program today. And now We will resume the last discussion after post lunch at sharp 3 o'clock. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.